Besides the four canonical Gospels, early Christian writers produced several other Gospels, each with their own view on Jesus' teachings. The non-canonical Gospels show the wide variety of views about Jesus that existed in the early churches. The only work that still exists in its entirety is the Gospel of Thomas, which includes a collection of many sayings thought to have come from Jesus, as well as several sayings that Gnostics perhaps added later. Other works that only still exist in fragments include the Gospels of Judas, Secret Mark, and Peter. These works focus more on mysteries about private conversations Jesus supposedly had with people, as well as his resurrection. The infancy Gospels have less to do with Jesus' ministry. The infancy Gospel of James contains apocryphal stories about Jesus' family, and the infancy Gospel of Thomas recounts likely embellished stories or rumors about Jesus' childhood. The Gospel of Thomas is quite a bit different from the canonical Gospels in that it contains no narrative of Jesus' life, and instead is made up of 114 different sayings of Jesus. It opens by saying, "These are the secret sayings that the living Jesus spoke, and Didymus Judas Thomas recorded." These are called secret sayings because only those with wisdom and understanding get their meaning, and those who can interpret them correctly are saved from tasting death. John's Gospel shares several similarities with the Gospel of Thomas, especially in how they both connect receiving Jesus' message with receiving eternal life. The Didymus Judas Thomas of the book is likely the same Thomas who shows up often in John's Gospel. John refers to Thomas as Didymus, or the twin in Greek. Thomas also means twin in Aramaic. Another option could be Jesus' brother Jude, also known as Judas Thomas in the non-canonical Acts of Thomas. This would make sense too, since Jesus' brother likely looked similar to him, thus earning the nickname twin. It is interesting to note that the Gospel of Thomas does not say much about Thomas himself, but does offer quite a bit of praise to a different brother of Jesus, James, the leader of the early church in Jerusalem. Thomas records that when the disciples ask Jesus who will lead them after he is gone, Jesus tells them to look to James the Just, for whose sake heaven and earth came into being. Of the 114 sayings in the Gospel of Thomas, about 79 of them either closely parallel sayings from the Synoptic Gospels or contain imagery and themes that are very similar to the Gospel of John. Here are some quotes from the book that sound a lot like things Jesus says in the Synoptic Gospels. "No prophet is welcome on his home turf. One who seeks will find, and for one who knocks, it will be opened. If you have money, don't lend it at interest. Rather, give it to someone from whom you won't get it back." There's also some examples of sayings from the book that don't look like anything Jesus ever says in the canonical Gospels. When the disciples ask Jesus about the end, he says, "Have you found the beginning, then, that you are looking for the end? You see, the end will be where the beginning is. Congratulations to the one who stands at the beginning. That one will know the end and will not taste death." When the disciples ask about the second coming, he says, "When you strip without being ashamed, and you take your clothes and put them under your feet like little children and trample them, then you will see the Son of the Living One, and you will not be afraid." Thomas doesn't portray Jesus as a Messiah at all, but he does include one rare quote where Jesus claims to be the source of divine light. "I am the light that is over all things. I am all. From me all came forth, and to me all attained. Split a piece of wood, I am there. Lift up the stone, and you will find me there." In the Synoptic Gospels, when Jesus asks the disciples, "Who do people say I am?" they make several guesses, with Peter finally proclaiming that Jesus is Messiah. In Thomas's version, Jesus asks them to make a parable out of him to describe what he is like. Peter calls him a just angel, Matthew calls him a wise philosopher, but then Thomas says that he is utterly unable to say what Jesus is like. Jesus likes this answer and tells him that he is no longer his teacher because he is already drunk from the bubbling spring that Jesus has tended. Jesus then secretly tells Thomas 3 more sayings that Thomas later tells the other disciples are so offensive that they would stone him if he repeated them. One of the most controversial sayings in the book is the very last one. Most scholars think it's very unlikely this quote originated with the real Jesus. We see Peter trying to ban Mary from being a disciple because she is a woman, saying females don't deserve life. But Jesus allows Mary to be a disciple, saying, "Look, I will guide her to make her male, so that she too may become a living spirit resembling you males. For every female who makes herself male will enter the domain of heaven." In a previous saying, the idea of transformation is applied to both men and women, who are both called to transcend gender and become like nursing babies in order to enter the kingdom. Jesus said to them, "When you make the two into one, and when you make the inner like the outer, and the outer like the inner, and the upper like the lower, and when you make the male and female into a single one, so that the male will not be male, nor the female be female, when you make an image in place of an image, then you will enter the Father's domain." Likely, one of the main reasons the early church rejected the Gospel of Thomas is that it only portrays Jesus as a teacher and does not give an adequate retelling of the Gospel, failing even to mention his death and resurrection.